This is Swiss and Chips, your British guide to Switzerland. Hello and welcome to Swiss and Chips. I'm Jo Fay.
And I'm Simon Sried.
And today we're in Perugia in Italy. And just to remind you, if you don't know, this is a podcast for British people who are living in Switzerland or interested in moving to Switzerland. But in this special episode, we've gone over the border to Italy.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, maybe we should explain again, who are you exactly and who am I? Well, I start right away with me, so I'm Simon and I grew up in Switzerland, and I guess I give the Swiss view or one Swiss view to the podcast. And who are you?
Well, I'm a British journalist who moved to Switzerland in 2010. And since then, I've been working in public service media in the country. That leads us on really to explain what we're doing in Perugia this week. And we're here for the International Journalism Festival, which has been a few days of interesting journalists and people who work in journalism from around the world coming together in this really beautiful town that we're in.
Yeah, that was really nice. Very interesting talks. And the village, or the town, I must say, I guess, is quite small here, the old part, but it's really interesting, really nice, big, interesting, nice buildings, very Italian, loads of cafes. We drank loads of coffees everywhere and ate loads of pizza and food, and yeah, it's basically how you imagine. And now we are sitting here in a big square with a nice fountain and loads of churches surrounded and people sitting out in the stairs and drinking some beer and talking to each other. Maybe you can hear a little bit. And yeah, it's really nice.
And I think that's one of the really great things that you get from your sort of quality of life when you move to Switzerland, or of course, if you're lucky enough to live there anyway, that you're so close to so many other really fascinating countries within Europe. Switzerland's surrounded by 5 countries, of course.
Yeah, did we already say what we talk about today? Not sure. Anyway, I think today we want to talk about from Switzerland how it is to travel abroad, especially to the countries that are surrounded. How do you say?
The countries that surround Switzerland.
Oh, yeah, exactly that. So, and yeah, obviously we are surrounded by 5 countries, and every country is quite close. So Switzerland is in the middle of Europe, you could say, and is surrounded by Italy, France, Germany, Liechtenstein and Austria. And all of these are, I would say, if you are in the middle of Switzerland, it takes maybe not more than 2 or 3 hours to go to at least one of the countries. So wherever you go in one direction, you quite quickly go abroad, let's say. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what we wanted to talk about today, how easy it is to cross over the border and go to a completely different country. And I think I can only speak for myself as always with this podcast, but as a British person living in Switzerland, it's incredibly exciting to be able to wake up in the morning and say, you know what, today I'm going to go to Italy, because it really is that easy. You can fly, of course, but you can also wake up in the morning, get a train or get in your car and just head over the border and suddenly you're there.
Yeah, but isn't that the same a bit in England when you want to go to Wales, for example?
It's a very different thing for a number of reasons, but primarily, although it's actually quite cold at the moment, you can't see us obviously, but we're wearing scarves and hats. Normally, Italy has much better weather than Wales. Wales is well known for being rainy and a little bit chilly, we might say. And I don't know if it's true, but Italy has this kind of exciting, romantic, old, interesting vibe to it that Wales just doesn't have so much. Wales is more sort of wild, open space and windy beaches.
Yeah, maybe the thing is that Italy, France and Germany, Austria and Liechtenstein, all of them are on one hand quite similar to Switzerland, but on the other hand even still quite different. So especially if you go to France or Italy, you have a little bit of this holiday feeling, I guess. I could imagine if you go to Wales, maybe you don't have it because it's quite similar to England itself, isn't it?
Definitely. I can't imagine myself sitting out on a sort of pavement cafe in Wales at 10 o'clock at night on a Friday, for example. But I mean, sitting here in this Italian piazza, is that the right word? Sitting out here in this Italian piazza. That's really the full Italian experience. People sitting outside, feels extremely continental. It couldn't be any further removed from Wales. But of course, there are other differences as well between going over the border in our respective homelands.
Yeah, I think this fact that it's so close, so people also go quite often over the border. Although, I mean, I haven't been to Liechtenstein, for example, me myself yet, so, and not so often to Austria yet, maybe 3-4 times, and France also 2-3 times, so it's not that we go every weekend. Italy is the closest border to my home place, and I think for most it's also the first place to go, especially the southern part of Switzerland, because on one hand it's close, and on the other hand, like I said, it's this holiday feeling you want to have. So very often people go from Bern to Domodossola, for example. It's the first town outside of Switzerland, and you can go with the Swiss train. And for example, if you have a GEA, a general
abonnement.
Yeah, exactly. So you travel for free in the trains, or you have a Halbtags, which you can travel then with it for half the price in the trains, and it's still valid till Domodossola. So you can go to there and pay the same price. Well, has to be said, if you go further, then it gets only cheaper. But trains in Italy are much cheaper than Switzerland, obviously. But still, so many people go to Domodossola maybe only for a Saturday morning market, for example, and go and eat a nice Italian pizza and buy some nice sausage Italian food, and then come back again. So you have a tiny bit of holiday feeling. I think that's what many people do. But on the other hand, I also think the fact that it's so close to Switzerland, or we can go anytime we want, more or less, does make it maybe also a bit less special compared maybe to other countries. I think, for example, for us it would be more special to go maybe to Scotland, because it's further away. So it's like dreams are a bit further away, like maybe compared to Rome or Paris. It's also great for us to go, don't get me wrong, but it's feels quite a close dream to catch. So it's maybe not that special compared to someone who is coming from Australia, for example.
Mm-hmm. No? Yeah, and whereas when you're a person who hasn't grown up in Switzerland, it suddenly feels like those faraway dreams are right on your doorstep, and that's just an incredible feeling.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Yeah, I think so. So that's the one thing I think it's not to forget, that for many Swiss, maybe going to Italy is not such a huge thing, especially also that the part of Switzerland is not to forget. Tessin is southeast of Switzerland, is also Italian speaking, and if you go to these parts, for example Lugano or Locarno is very nice, or Ascona, it's extremely similar to northern Italy.
Of course.
And also they speak Italian there.
Yeah. It's the authentic Italian experience without actually leaving the country. Another reason why Switzerland is an amazing place to be. Of course, it's not just the normally warm weather, the great food, the incredible culture and the wonderful atmosphere that brings people to Italy. It's also quite cheap compared to Switzerland.
Yes, yeah, it's true. I mean, almost every country, maybe except England, is cheap to Switzerland, or London, let's say. I would say Switzerland is very similar to London, the prices. And if you go to Italy, maybe if you're not having a cappuccino in the middle of Rome, then it's everywhere very cheap, especially the food and clothes and everything. So yeah, I think you don't forget that the prices in Switzerland are also extremely high if you live there. So you can't afford so much. We don't go so often to eat somewhere outside of home, or
yeah, we don't go and eat out as often in Switzerland.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's just very expensive also for us to live there. And if you are abroad, then it's just nice to go somewhere, go to a nice place, eat something nice, and go to buy some stuff. It's just you get more bang for the buck.
Yeah, you certainly do. And of course, that's different to being in England and going to Wales and Scotland as well, because, you know, we have the same currency, for example, although it is, of course, much cheaper in the north of England than it is in London, for example. But it also feels to me like there's more choice as well. When we come to Italy, they just have different shops, a wider range of things that you can buy. It feels like there's quite a closed market in Switzerland because everything is so controlled. You know, we're surrounded by EU countries, but we're not part of it.
Yes and no. I'm not sure if the EU is the problem. I just think Switzerland in general is a small market. So for big brands, maybe also even like Amazon, for example, all the stuff we buy on Amazon, it comes from Germany, for example, or somewhere else, but not within Switzerland because we are just too small. So why should they have a shop in Switzerland? And so I think for many things that is true. So they don't have things. I mean, we have everything we need, but if you go abroad, they have way more like specialities, like special shops, nice small shops with special stuff. And we don't have that so often, and if we have it, then it's incredibly expensive, so no one can really afford it. And I think that's also one reason why this shopping tourism is just a famous thing in Switzerland. So especially for people living close to the borders, they go and basically buy the food and almost everything abroad. So they go and go over the border, go to the grocery store and buy the food for 2 weeks and then come back. And it's just much cheaper than shopping in Switzerland.
Yeah, I mean, there are big kind of shopping centres and supermarkets and towns that are directly over the border from Switzerland. And, you know, their main business is people driving from Switzerland at the weekend, doing their weekly food shop, or going and buying furniture, for example, and then heading back over. So shopping tourism is it happens on a massive scale amongst Swiss people, but I mean also on a much smaller scale. When you want to go, for example, to Rome for a weekend, you know, that's your chance to buy lots of clothes because they're so much cheaper and you have things that you don't find in Switzerland. So it's kind of happening on two levels.
Yeah, it's totally true. I mean, there is like almost like a habit for people living close to borders to just go there and shop. But I mean, what can you do if you don't have so much money and you know it's just 20 minutes drive to go to Germany, and it's just you pay like a third of what you would pay if you buy it straight in front of your doors, and you can't really blame them for it, I think. And yeah, on the other hand, it's obviously not good for the Swiss economy. I mean,
that's probably a topic for another podcast. So we'll leave you today then with dreams of coming to Italy and a request that you join us on WhatsApp. And this is a way for you to get in touch with us, a way for you to get the latest episode of our podcast, a way for you to tell us what you think of the podcast that we make. If you want to join us on WhatsApp, here's the number that you'll need to save in your phone. It's +41 78 915 3959.
Just write us a message and let us know what you want to have on WhatsApp and what you want to hear from us, or what you think. If you think my English is rubbish or,
no.
or whatever, you just tell us on WhatsApp, I think.
Yeah. Get in touch. Here's the number one more time, +41 78 915 3959. And we'd love to hear from you. Cool. Thanks for listening.
Bye.